Hello everybody, welcome back to Riichi Mahjong. We got a game review for you today. If you want to submit your own game review, you can find a link to do that in the description of this very video. Alright, we got the Gunslinger today. The Gunslinger, yeah that's right. We got a Silver Room 4-player East game. So I don't know how long this video will take. It might be quite short. But also, if it's a Silver Room game, there might be a lot to talk about. I don't know. The notes for this one merely say, I think it's mostly small decisions that I need someone with more experience to point out. Well, let's hope that I know what I'm doing. Should be okay. Should be okay. All right. Let's just go, shall we? Let's just see what's going on. Triplet of the Red Dragon straight off the bat. Great stuff. Yeah, fine. It's sad that there's quite so many poor shapes in here. Okay, I'm not okay. All right, okay. Let's go back. Let's go back. All right, already we've got something here to talk about. What are your shapes? What are your shapes, my dude? 1 for sure. 2 for sure. And then you've got this horrible 6-9. So this is really bad. This 9 is kind of floating around. This is really bad. You could read this as a 3-4-5 and a 6-8 shape, right? If you throw, by throwing this 8, what happens if you draw the 7 of circles? If you draw the 7 of circles, then yes, you have a 3-4-5-6-7 San Menchan shape, which accepts the 2, the 5, and the 8. But now you're inverting because you've thrown the 8. Definitely throw this 9. Probably this 9. Maybe even this 9. Because this one is not likely to become a pair, but this 6-9 shape is really bad. 6-9 shapes generally really bad. Generally really bad, just on their own, because any tile you can draw will improve the 6. Any tile you can draw will improve the 6 and does not affect the 9 in any way, shape or form. So this 8 of circles is definitely a mistake. I would definitely categorize that as a mistake. Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. I mean, you've drawn into a pair of the 9s here, which is lucky, for sure. Boom. Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, fair enough. Get this one over the line. No. Get this one over the line. Sure thing. Why not? 2. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Right. Dealer seat. A bit awkward. North wind is good. Yeah, that's fair enough. White dragon is also not great now. The one's passed up here. That's the Dora. Okay, hang on. Let me just run this through my mind. So coughing, sorry. Sometimes it's worth being extra careful about 1, 3, 4, 4 shapes, because this could be a pair of 4s and you could accept the 2 here, right? You could accept the 2 so here with this. I don't think it's relevant because you've got 1, 2, 3 and now you've got 4, 5 shapes, so I don't think it's really relevant. I do think the 1 is fine. I was just being extra super special careful there. Okay. I wonder if you throw the 3 here straight up rather than throwing the 9. Because this block has now just turned into a triplet of 4s, right? So this is kind of not really doing anything in a way that, like, the 8 pin does help you, the 7 pin does help you. Because I mean, what if you draw? If you were to draw a 2-so or a 5-so here, then what do you really have? You have a 2-3 with a triplet of 4s. You have a 2-3-4 with a pair of 4s, but it's not like your hand needs pairs. You'd have to do the math, I guess. So this shape accepts 4 copies of the 8 of circles and 2 copies of the 7 of circles. I've done these the wrong way around. Wow, I can right click and draw a straight line. I don't know if I knew that. 2 copies of the 7, 4 copies of the 8. This can accept 4 copies of the 2 and 4 copies of the 5. Here and here. Oh, it's close actually. It is close. I think maybe we should put this into the hand calculator more than anything. Alright, this is the Tenho hand calculator. If you weren't aware of this, it's Tenho. Let's write this in a better place. Let's write this in a better place. Here? No, because I got a white pen out. Here, with a black pen. TENHOU.net/2 to be more precise, but tenho.net/2 will get you here, and you can put your hand in and it will tell you the math, the raw math. So obviously this doesn't include what you this doesn't necessarily dictate what you should do, because what you should do will be defined, whoops, wrong one. What you should do will be defined by what the door is and what everyone else has discarded and the board state and stuff like that. But from a pure tile efficiency point of view, so in a situation like this where it's very early, everyone's still in the throwing honours and terminals phase of the hand, where really all you can do is play as efficiently as possible, the math would imply throwing the 3, so is better for a tile acceptancy over the 9, but not by much, only by 4 tiles. But of course it is the 4 tiles, you know, it's the 4 tiles that are the 8 of circles basically, which is what we said. It's very minor, but it is worth thinking about. It is worth thinking about. That is absolutely crazy. I mean, they had all the 8s anyway, so it turns out it didn't make any difference, but still. And the new Dora is the 7, which is huge. Right, yeah, throw the green. I agree with that. Holy. Oh, I wonder if you chi that. I don't think you do. No, I don't think you do. No. Now, this is interesting. You got the unenviable task here of deciding whether you want to try and finish this 1-2 shape. Let me put this back to the white pen because I hate the black pen. It doesn't show up as well for some reason. You're in the unenviable position of deciding whether it's better to keep this 1-2 shape and just lucking into the 3-so, or keeping this 5 and drawing into a better double-sided weight here. But your shapes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this exact situation, you should probably throw the 3 and see what happens first. Whether you draw into this 5. Like if you draw a 4 or a 6M, you're really happy, right? Then you've got a better double-sided weight here than this will ever be. And you can throw this. You also have the issue of this clunky red 5 and a pair of the Dora. It's difficult. This is definitely a rough spot. I can see it from a few sides. Calling Riichi on just the 3 of circles is not terrible, because you've also got the extra Oradora opportunities up here. This person calling an open Khan implies that their hand is in some degree ready. Possibly it is the silver room, but you really shouldn't think like that. Oh, it's the silver room, so I can play a bit more fast and loose. I wouldn't do that. In this exact situation, you throw the 3, but you should have already thrown the 3. So imagine that if you've got 1, 2, 5, 7, 7, 9, and this 5, then you probably would still trim the 9 in this at this point, because obviously all the 8s have gone as well. So Yeah, that is completely understandable, I think, throwing that back. Okay. Yeah, then the 3 goes, that's good. Now you got the problem of having a pair of Dora and holy. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Just go for Value Town here, I think. 4, 5, 6. You could probably even end up throwing a 5. Whoa, lads. Whoa, what happened? What happened? Oh yeah, no, a west wind. I can see that. I can see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. That's right. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, it's a shame that your hand wasn't ever so slightly faster there. I don't think the quote unquote mistake between the 9 of circles and the 3 of bamboo actually affected too much there. Just a bit unfortunate, I think. And it's a shame to lose the DLC like that as well, but it is what it is. Yeah, south wind's pretty dead. North wind's pretty dead. Yeah, nice. That's worrying. But sure, that's really unfortunate. That's the 5 of characters. Alright, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, really, my dude? Okay. It's an interesting question here. It's an interesting question whether you play this efficiently or whether you just admit that this hand's not very good and that this play is probably just going to run before you get the chance to do anything. I'm not sure you should be too concerned about either of these dealing in. I think you would just maybe want rid of them because you maybe want your hand to do something. Like, I'm not concerned about this being a half flush because they threw a 1 of bamboo really early. I would more just think that this is west wind only. You are in the lead though, and you're not up for paying the dealer penalty, so I could see that. If you draw a 3 of circles though, you're quite mad. I think these need to go. Unless you're folding. That's very strange. Why are you keeping these? Is there anything I would ask? If you're keeping them because you're scared they'll deal in, then fair, but it's a bit early. It's a bit early and the value of this hand does not imply that throwing one of these would be a terrible idea. I don't think this 5 of bamboo is justifiable, really. I just don't think this is... I don't think this is justifiable in any way. I mean, the 2 possibly if you're follow cutting. Oh wait, no, you cut the 2 and then they cut the 2 afterwards. So you would have had a pair of 2s here. You've had a triplet of 9s, pair of 2s. Could have trimmed the 8. Alright, well, you have drawn into a green dragon. That makes no sense. Like, what are they doing? That's the red 5. Okay, okay. Again, what is this for?
Boom.
Why is this being kept? Thank you. Alright, they had it, but... Okay, the important thing to note here is that they had it. So... Are you keeping it because you were worried that it would deal into somebody, so you were just holding on to it for as long as possible, or because is it your safe tile? I mean, it's not your safe tile because none of them have passed. So you're presumably worried about it dealing in, or if you're worried about it dealing in, where's the danger levels? They're not anywhere really, and like how quickly did they have? Is this? You'll forgive me for this. I don't wish this to be rude. Is this a silver rune player thing where the Yakuhai of the East is held onto for longer than normal? Because I understand that the East games are much quicker. They come down a lot more to just winning a couple of 1,000-point hands and then the game's over, right? So there might be an element of that. But then throwing it here after this pawn of ones, like, what Yaku could they have with this that justifies them opening their hand? Same with this, right? They pawned this, they cheated this 7-8-9 rather, so it's not Tanyao. So they must, it's either a half flush or a pure straight, or again, it's not a pure straight. Well, it could be a pure straight with the one, but it's not very likely to be a half flush. And then they pawn the west winds and you got your answer, right? The answer was, oh, it's probably just west wind, nothing. It's just seat wind only. This begs the question, how are they going to have a valid hand after pawning these ones? And then again, you get your answer, but if you'd have thrown the East a lot earlier, you would have maybe even justified this player just not even ever getting to have a valid hand.
Riichi.
And then we hit Tenpai, so that's good. We do get into Tenpai for... Wait, what? Oh, yeah, no, that makes more sense. I thought you called Riichi this time. I was like, how have you done that? Is that in the rules?
Riichi.
Oh dear. Alright. I'm not sure how to Riichi this. I'm not sure how to call Riichi. Mostly because 2 of the 7s are up here. So you're waiting on 2 copies of the 7 of circles. This player has a valid hand. This player has a valid hand. You have a valid hand in the green dragons. You don't even need to call Riichi. If you don't call Riichi and someone throws another 7 of circles, you have green dragon, 1 Dora. Which is good. You could even draw the 8 of characters, which is the Dora, and throw this, and still stay down a 10. You've got to assume that both this player and this player have ready hands now, because they both have the Yaku that they need to warrant opening their hand. And then your tile is a mere 2 tiles. Yes, it's just passed. Sometimes that is the absolute dream, right? Being able to call Riichi on this tile that has just passed. So then this player goes, well, it did just pass, and they didn't like call Ron here, so maybe it's fine. But I'm not sure I would call Riichi waiting. Having a valid hand in the green dragon as well. You don't need to call Riichi here. You can just Ron somebody anyway. Oof. You're folding. You're not folding, but I kind of understand why you're not folding, because your hand must be ready, but you don't have Dora. You don't have Dora. Where are the other Doras? Oh god. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Not surprised by that. Yeah, and that's... I mean, already with the dealer having the East Wind, that's already 2 Han, right? Another 1 or 2 Han turns that into an absolutely devastating experience. Okay, this hand is potentially good. Just open it the first chance you get.
Boom.
I'm not sure I'd have thrown the East there. I may have thrown the 1 before the East, but I'm not entirely sure. I maybe would have. It's very close. You got a 1-2. You got 1-2-3 Sanshoku maybe, but it's not worth worrying that much about. It's very close. I can see it. It probably is right, actually. I'm not sure I'd have done that. So I have a play style in that, and this is less relevant in the silver room, admittedly, but it's worth drilling into while you can. It's worth. I tend to not, unless my hand is exceedingly fast, pawn something that gives me no obvious open Yaku. And this is going to be this just is experience. Your Yaku, when you pawn the ones, you know, could be seat wind, could be prevalent wind, could be a dragon. Of course, it could be all of these things. But it lets your opponents know that it has to be one of those things, right? If you chi some simples, then your opponents go, well, they could have Tanyao, but they could have Tanyao closed, so, you know, they could have anything at this point. I would personally have waited until I'd confirmed this, and especially in that you now know, you now know that the one of characters is safe into this player. So hypothetically, you don't pawn this, the moves go around the table again, and then they call Riichi. Uh-oh. You would have had 2 safe tiles, and now you don't. You're not really losing anything by letting this go, because you can still chi the 3 later, or you could even just win off the 3 later if you just trim this down. I don't know if this is true. This is how I personally play. I like to confirm my Yaku before I open my hand. Unless the situation is really dire, or like I have such a preponderance of opportunities. Like I have a pair of white dragons and a pair of seat winds or something. But what if a pair of white dragons are in somebody else's hand and you just never ever get to finish this? And then somebody calls Riichi and you're like, well, these are dangerous now, and now I've pawned this. You know, where's my safety here? I should be
Pawn.
It's more likely you find the 3 than the that's unfortunate, isn't it? That's unfortunate. Sure. Yeah, you want the door up. So you want to just, yeah, you want to pawn. That's rough. That is rough. Just think of how many more options you'd have here if you keep your hand closed. Just think of how many more choices you would have here if your hand is closed.
Boom.
Yeah, you've already thrown a 7, you may as well throw the 8 at this point. Oh god. Oh god! Wait, hang on. Oh yeah, I was going to say, if you throw this it's Tenpai, but you have no Yaku. If your hand's closed and you have exactly this, then you can call Riichi waiting for this. Not that you necessarily would in this situation. So now you're in a rough spot. You do have the 2, which is safe, admittedly. It is close to the door. There's no shame that this hand has to just go down the toilet. That's rough.
Boom.
Oh god! You're in Tenpai, but you don't have a Yaku.
Kan.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dearie me. hell. Where to start? Where to start on this? Riichi, you either fault. I mean, and this is the problem, right? This all stems from pawning, the pawn of this. The whole issue here is pawning of the ones, because this Riichi is called, and so it's like, oh no. So you throw the 2 because it's safe, which makes sense. Don't want to deal into a Patsu, sure. You could throw the whites, I suppose. You could risk it, but again, this is the issue, right? Is that now it doesn't. Suddenly they don't look very safe. 3 comes out, 8 comes out, and now it's like, what the heck do I do now? This isn't a safe tile. They've called Riichi on the 9, so the 8 is even more dangerous, right? Because, I mean, imagine they have a 6, 7, 9 shape in their hand and they get into Tempai. What are they going to do? They're going to cut this and they're going to wait on the 5 and the 8 of bamboo. I'm probably cutting the 1s here. If I was in this exact situation, I'm probably cutting the 1s here. It's not likely they've cut a 2 from a 2-2-3 shape 1 turn before they call Riichi. It's possible. It's not very likely. So the 8 is a bit dangerous, but fair enough. And then the 2 is safe. You know that the 2 is safe. So you throw it, and then this, you can't justify this. I'm sorry. Because, yeah, you can pawn it and be in Tempai, but you're in Tempai if you throw exactly the Dora into this Riichi, and you have no Yaku, because your pair is the White Dragon and you don't have a Yaku. So it doesn't achieve anything. Well, it harms you pawning this, because if this passes, then you have 2 turns of safety here. The next turn you throw this, and then the next turn you throw this. And you know that this doesn't deal in. And then maybe one of these players deals in, or sumos in that in-between time. So the issue is, in this position of the game, this player is in 4th place by a lot, right? They're 9,000 points behind the next player. All of the pressure is on them. They need to do everything. They need to do absolutely everything in this game. You are completely justified in just sitting back and seeing how this one plays out. Because even if this player does sumo a Mangan and they get 8,000 points, they go up to 24, you go down to 24, the dealer goes down to 30, and then this player goes down to 23. So it's still not the end of the world. What is the end of the world is you dealing in 8,000 points over here. Whoops. What is the end of the world is these 8,000 points going from here to here. So this is a fold as best you can, which is not very easy, but then it's not very easy because the 1s have gone. And then the Khan is the Dora into this Riichi.
Khan.
The Khan is... The thing with the Khan, right, is what's so funny about this is it's actually justifiable exactly in this situation because it gives you the Yaku of after a Khan. Right? If you hit the 6 or the 9 of circles here, you can sumo because you've got Rinshan. If you miss, then you've given this Riichi and this Riichi more Oradora. And one of these players is the dealer. So it is... You are stuck. You are extremely stuck here. Because yeah, as I say, this is probably the best out that you have to win this hand. And throwing the 1 and it ending up being the new Dora and it ending up dealing into the dealer is very unlucky, but at the same time, to only give away 3,900 points here, 4,200 with the Honba is I think you should count your blessings there, personally. Alright, East 2. The game continues. Riichi? This hand says Riichi to me, and the Dora is your Sea Wind. That's huge. Please hold this forever. That's fair enough. Probably would have thrown the green, or maybe even the 9. Nah, don't throw the 9. Definitely throw the green. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, though. That is fine. Northwind passing here is unfortunate, but I like that you're still holding it. Yeah, I like that you're still holding it. The amount of value you get from just finding another one is so large. And it's so useless to anybody else, right? If you hold it as the very, very last tile that you throw before you call Riichi, if you call Riichi by throwing the Northwind Dora, then I still think it's fine. Yep, this is good. This is good. Okay. Not sure about that. You have thrown a 2 already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shapes. And you're holding this. I can see it. Oh wait, no, you throw the 2 afterwards. Okay, that is slightly worse. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shapes. I'd be tempted to try throwing this. This is more justifiable in this scenario because the 7 of circles is doing double work here. You need it twice. Once for the 5, 6 and once for the 8, 9. So throwing this and then drawing a 7 of circles isn't a backfire as it could be in other situations because you already want it for this shape. So I would throw the 8 and the 9 here so that your final weight is less likely to just be a single copy of the 7 of circles, and hopefully you draw into this 4 before the worst happens. Methinks. But I am prepared to be wrong on that one, because I so often am when it comes to Penshan shapes versus middle tiles. Drawing the 2 right afterwards is unlucky. Oh, okay, that's good, I suppose. Maybe it would have been better. I mean, I guess you could justify the 4 with it being with this. No. Fold? It's got to be. Northwind? Okay, good. Like, what if you'd have kept this 4-4-2 now? I mean, throwing the 2 is vaguely acceptable because of the Suji, and you've passed the Ipatsu turn. You also have this as safety. You also have the 6-9 Suji here as well. Suji is... I will explain this. You may know this, you may not, but I will explain it because this is a Silver Room game, so I will explain it for any Silver Room people who are here. Suji is the idea that if a 6 of circles is thrown, the player cannot be weighting with the 7-8 shape because they would be inferritin on this weight. So even if they are weighting with a 7-8 in their hand, they can't run you from the 9. Now, Suji is often to not be trusted for the reasons that they could have a single 9 and be waiting for another 9 in their hand. Or they could have a pair of 9s and a pair of like literally anything else and just be waiting on an extra copy of this or an extra copy of this. Why I drew my arrows backwards, I don't know. Don't ask me. But in some situations it is often worth trying, and it is certainly more justifiable than throwing the red 5 of circles into the Riichi, is what I would say about that. I would certainly say that that is more justifiable than this. This is absurd. And also, I mean, the 9 ends up being safe. This is alarm bells as well, right? This This player is called Riichi. The player who is the dealer, who is also in the lead, is also not folding. And not only are they not folding, they're not folding by throwing dangerous tiles. High chance here, if we look at their hand, they're in tempo. Or they're one away. Or their hand is the worst pile of garbage I've ever seen. Because it's the silver room. It's fine. It's fine. Let's not talk about it. You have to assume everyone's playing perfect Mahjong. That's the problem. You kind of have to assume that. Up to a point. Up to a point. And then the 8th time they call Riichi on a single tile weight, you can be like, right, I don't think you have it this time, actually. This should have dealt them in, and they should have been very annoyed. And anyway, but there's no justice. Safe tile, I like it. Safe tile into this, right? There's an element of like, well, if this player isn't folding, is it because they're not folding because they're now in tempo for a tile that is very likely to come out, aka the 3 of circles? But I'm not really sure what else you do here. I mean, you know the 9's safe. Good. This is also completely safe, but I can see why you keep it, because you might need a safe tile for later. That's a good weight. They deserve more than 2,700 points there. This player deserves to have dealt in my opinion. We finally made it to East 3, folks. 9 of circles, nice. This 9 probably could go. That's also fine. That's also totally fine. That can go straight in the toilet. Ugh. I still think I would have thrown the 9 there, because this hasn't passed at all. Okay. I'm not sure about that. Not sure about that one. Not sure about this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got to count this as a block. You just have to. I know it sucks. I know 1-2 shapes suck, but you have to count it as a block. Throwing a 5 of bamboo this early doesn't feel great. Throwing a 5 of characters this early doesn't feel great. It's got to be this. This 9 has to go. I know it's your pair. I know it's your pair. But it's just a pair. You'll get a pair back. It's fine. What helped me a lot would be to imagine what would be the worst thing for me to draw, and how mad does it make me. If I throw this and I draw the 3 of bamboo, pretty mad. Pretty mad. If I throw this and draw a 9 of characters, first of all, that would be so unlucky because there's only 2 copies left. Second of all, yeah, that is annoying, but it's not as annoying, right? Because not only can I just throw this back, I haven't completely demolished this shape. Like, this 1-2 shape is still intact, and this 7-8-9 is still intact. If I throw this 9 and then draw the 9, it's functionally no different than me drawing any one of my other tiles that I've already thrown. Oh, I could have had a pair. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I could have had a pair. With perfect information, I could have had a pair. But this 9 is, like, so much more useless than this entire 1-2 shape. Don't draw 3 of bamboo. Don't draw 3 of bamboo. Okay. Yeah, you've thrown the 1, so throw the 2. That's fair enough. Okay, alright, now you have 7-8-9 Ipeku, which maybe was the plan all along. What was this? What was this for? Why are you keeping this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter how you count these shapes. 1, 2, 3. Whether you count this as 7, 8, 9 Ipeku or a 7, 8, 8 with a triplet of 9s. So this is 2 blocks regardless. This is another block, and then this is another block. Sorry. Ah! Should be a 4, and this is your 5th block. What is this doing? The answer is nothing. You threw the 5 of you were happy to throw the 5 of characters. Same logic applies for the 5 of bamboo. It's not doing anything at all. And if you're really that attached to it, then you can throw this 9 back. Throwing the 7 of circles is not it, I'm afraid. Ugh. Not 2 horrendous backfires in one hand. The 3 of bamboo and the 8 of circles. Yeah, sure.
Riichi.
Actually, no, not sure. Not sure. Actually, the opposite of sure. No, actually hate it. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 6. You got 6 blocks at the end of the second row. It's a disaster. I'm not sure. I can see what I can see it actually. I can see why this has happened. But if this is your pair, then what's this doing? If this is your triplet, so what you're going to do? Draw a 6 or another 9, which is impossible because the last one's there. So you're literally just waiting on the 6 to make this. So then why not just throw this and wait on the 7 instead? This hand could have been alright, I think. I think it's unfortunately turned into a bit of a mess. And then the dealer is called Riichi.
Riichi.
Oh god. Yeah, just follow cut that. Yeah, nice, good shout. Get out of here. Let these 2 players eat themselves. 6. That's... What's that? There's one there. I can see. You don't want to pay no 10 penalty out here. That's not a safe tile.
Sumo.
Three Dora. That's disgusting. Okay. Okay. Rough spot. Rough spot and the worst hand of all time. Alright, progress. Vague progress. This 9, please. Thank you. East? Oh, throw that. That's really unlucky. That's unlucky. It is what it is. Maybe the east next. There may be an element of East Dream gameplay, sorry, relying a little slightly more on Yakuhai. Good God.
Boom.
You're too, you're living the dream. You're trying to live the dream too much on the Yakuhai. And I mentioned this in the previous log review. One east wind, if you've got one east wind in your hand, even if you can't see any of the other east winds, how many tiles does this accept? It only ever accepts 3 tiles. And one of those you have to draw. And then you can pawn for the other one, of course you can. Even just a lowly 2, even just a lowly 2 of bamboo here accepts 4 copies of the 1. It accepts 4 copies of the 3. And you could also argue it accepts 4 copies of the 4, which is not as good, but still, it's probably better than the 1. Now, of course, having an east wind and throwing an east wind and then drawing another east wind does feel awful. That is probably a little bit unlucky. Although none of this has passed, and then you've opened your hand for no yaku again. I'm not sure you pawn the 3s. Like, this is fine, right? Because there's one there, it's fine. This is probably a half flush at this point. I'm not sure if it actually ends up being a half flush. Yeah, it probably is. This 5 of circles is alarm bells. Sorry, I was talking about the tile acceptancy between even just a 2 and a green dragon. This pawn can't be right. I'm surprised they threw this too. How did they? How did they manage this? I don't think they should have cheated this. I think they should have kept the 2s as their pair. Oh, it was so early. I don't think they should have cheated that. Because now they've just got this hanging around. What the hell are they going to do with this? Where were we? Yeah, this pawn is not great. But maybe you're just like trying to squeeze into Tenpai before exhaustive draw. Yeah, the 9 is still spicy, actually, due to this half flush here. It's hard, right? I'm not blaming you. It's very hard because you not only are you trying to pay attention to all of this and all of this and all of this, trying to also then pay attention to all of this and be like, it's probably a half flush. It's probably a half flush of characters, and they're probably waiting on either, they don't need the Dora, they don't need the 3, they're probably waiting on 4, 7 of characters, or they're single tile waiting on, they've got a pair of the greens and they're waiting this 4, 7, or they've got the 4, 5, 6, 7 shape, and they're waiting on a Yakuhai. Like that is difficult. But I think also from what we said before about pawning the 1s here, which gives this hand no Yaku unless it's either all triplets or it's East Wind, which we know it's not. And it's not white dragons and it's not red dragons. This player could have easily also just been waiting for the green dragon to come out. It's a rough spot, for sure. But it's probably only a rough spot because you pawn the 3s. And that is Tenpai, but it's Tenpai with no Yaku. But maybe you're thinking about exhaustive draw. But throwing a green dragon that hasn't passed into a potential half flush is Scary, for sure. Oh no! And now you've got the unenviable position of somehow trying to claw back 15,000 points in all last, and you're not even the dealer. So I don't even know what you would do here. Toy.
Pum.
And then this player just pawning this Yakuhai right off the bat is extremely rough. I mean, can you even get that many points if you open your hand here for Southwind only? You're gonna have to play this toy, but even then it's just gonna be open, so there's no Riichi, there's no. Yeah, you're gonna have to do that and just hope that you hit. Yeah, just hope that you can hit in some way. Maybe that's the only reason you would pawn the south, so that you could maybe Khan them at a later date and hit value. 1, 2, 3 Ipeku. I suppose Ipeku open is not a Yaku, so don't pay any attention to that. I suppose it could be Toy, but even Southwind Toy is not. It's not really it, is it?
Boom.
Sure. Can't something else, I guess. Not sure why he didn't just throw the 5 of circles. What the hell? Well, that's just rude. Frankly, that's just rude. Dealer buy man at that point. I'm not sure why he didn't throw the 5 of circles though. You want to try and keep this to actually pawn, right, to get Toy. This 5 is safe into this player and to this player, in fact. Toy doesn't get you it. The red 5's already gone, so it's not like you can accept the red 5 with this. Dealer buy man is just rude though. That's just extremely unnecessary. He did give them 1 extra Oradora with the Khan, but that doesn't make the Khan wrong because it's all last and you're in last place, so that's gross. Okay, so yes, your notes were mostly small decisions that I need somebody with more experience to point out, and I would agree with that. I think the base level was fine. I think maybe you value Yakuhai a bit too much. I think maybe there are situations where throwing a 2 and keeping an east or keeping a red dragon is probably not correct, just on pure mathematics of the number of tiles that they accept. And then there are some questionable pawns in here, especially early before your hand is confirmed. This one, I think. These ones, and I think if you go back and watch this again, and you just see quite how many decisions cascade from these ones disappearing, I think you'll see the point there. Pawning the ones is maybe not necessarily that bad in a vacuum here because it just confirms a shape. But that all snowballs 5, 6 turns later when you find yourself in this position. And you end up having to call Khan so that maybe you get a Yaku, but it... But yeah. Game's hard. Is what I would say. I'm not beating you up. I don't mean this. It's, you know, it was good to have a Silver Room game. We often get, we've seen Gold and Jade Room, or friendly games actually, Gold Room games here on the channel before, and so it's nice to go back to be able to explain some of these more beginner level things. And there are definitely things that I struggled with when I was learning the game, you know, oh, green dragon, I've got one in my hand already, if I just draw another one, then I can pawn, and then I'll have a hand. But the acceptancy of a green dragon is only ever going to be 3 tiles, at most. The reason you keep them over the 1s is a compounding issue with, yeah, the 1 of bamboo accepts 3 copies of the 1 of bamboo and 4 copies of the 2 of bamboo. But it's more of an issue with, well, even if I then draw that 2 of bamboo, I've then got a terrible weight on the 3 of bamboo. And I don't want to end up calling a Riichi on just that weight, you know? What would you rather call Riichi on, a 1-2 shape or a pair of green dragons and a pair of 1 of bamboos, right? Like, obviously you would rather call it on the pair because somebody throws a 1 or they throw a green dragon. It's quite unreasonable to expect somebody to throw a 3 of bamboo into a Riichi without indication that it's safe. Whereas a 1 of bamboo, they might just chance it. Ah, it's a terminal tile. It's a terminal tile. I've got Tanya out, it's fine. You know? So I hope that was helpful for you. And as I say, like, yeah, I think you played it well. I do think you played it well. There were some bad beats in there for sure. And there's lots of things that I would say are things that a beginner has been told but don't fully understand why. Is, you know, especially like throwing 1s from 1, 3, 4 shapes, throwing 9s from 6, 7, 9 shapes and stuff. There are reasons why you wouldn't do that. But the beginner advice is just terminal tiles bad, Yaku high, yes. Open your hand for a Yaku, yes. You have a valid Yaku with a green dragon. So you're definitely on that path that I recognise in myself, having learnt the game over these last few years. So just keep at it, and it seems like it's all good. Seems like it's all good. GG. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment. If you want your own game log reviewed, how did this take 57 minutes to do a East 4 game? How many hands was it? It was quite a lot of hands, wasn't it? If you want your own game log review done, then please fill out the Google form in the description and I will put it on the stack. More than happy to do that. It's good content. We all learn something. So it's good. Alright, take it easy. See you next time. Bye bye.